Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and today for Girls Frontline 2, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of my speculation on what we can kind of expect after Zhaohui's banner. One of the big reasons being that I've seen a lot of people asking about is as we were kind of leading up to the last three units. So we knew it was going to be Vector, Yuhi, and Zhaohui, but we didn't know the order they were going to come out. But we did know that during that order of those three, that was going to land within the half anniversary time frame, which the half anniversary just passed, as they acknowledged, with a post here, as well as the code that gave us some polls and all that. And so, as we learned which units are coming which, and then we finally learned that Zhaohui was going to be the last one of the big things you saw for me was, I don't know how they're going to do a half anniversary event with her, because her event or patch doesn't really make sense as like a big half anniversary type event, especially since a lot of people are going to want to skip her. And so I don't think they're going to have like a true half anniversary event, is kind of my speculation, which, I mean, we're already past it, so you can't really call it a half anniversary event. But I do feel they will have an update that will kind of be the equivalent. One of the big things that we're missing that they got with the half anniversary on the CN side is the ability to trade in those redundant pieces, or I think I'm saying the name wrong, but the pieces that right now you can currently trade them in for a standard weapon, the ones you accumulate as you're pulling on the banners. On CN for their half anniversary, they got a quality of life that gave them the ability to trade them in for pulls. And so right now it costs 900 for a standard weapon. On CN side, they also now have the ability to trade them in for pulls. They've also added a bunch of other stuff to the shop, but the biggest thing is the pulls that they've added in there. And so I actually think after Zhaohui's banner, we're going to have an event that gives us that quality of life. Because one of the big things is we've already had the event that they had as the half anniversary on the CN side. We had Klukai and Mishti. That was the half anniversary for CN. And we already have a lot of the quality of life that we got way earlier than they got on CN. We got like the loadouts way earlier. We got a bunch of different like events type deals a lot earlier. And some of that I'm fully expecting we'll get the higher difficulty stuff a little bit sooner. And so the only thing missing is that, ultimately. And then also some of the other little big things like the 100% rate up banner and all that. But one thing that we did get told at the end of our last broadcast here that kind of gives me thoughts on that we're going to have a big event. Well, it's not going to be a half anniversary event. It'll kind of be maybe the equivalent. Is this at the very end, they said maybe there'll be some kind of special program next. And then right after, we won't have to wait long. I actually think we're going to get this broadcast a lot earlier than a week out from the next banner. And that is because, and I think this is what most people are guessing, I think the next event is going to be the Springfield free patch update, or the story update. And it's basically the equivalent, similar to the Klukai Mishti in terms of the amount of content in it within the story. So it's a big update with that. I believe they'll pair that one alongside that quality of life, with where we can trade in the polls. We'll kind of have to see what else they give us with that. Now, one of the nice things with them actually doing it later than half anniversary, and I think most people agree with me on this, is after having Klukai, Mishti, Vector, and then Yuhi, if they would have actually done the Springfield story event as this banner instead of Zhaohui, I think people would have been, well, it would have been happy because it was a half anniversary. But people are just, they don't have the pulls. And Springfield is a big unit that a lot of people want to pull for. And so I think it's actually a really good thing that we have Zhaohui right now. Because if Springfield truly is the next one, you actually have some time to save up for her. And she's a big unit that you're going to want to at least get to B1. And so I think it's going to be her event coming up next. And one thing we can kind of take a look at is what entails her event. Because hers came out for CN as their anniversary. And so she's just going to be earlier for us. So we're getting even more goodies earlier than CN. So let's just take a look at that right now. All right, I have the event pulled up that they had in CN for the Springfield one. Now you have to take everything on this, on Prudwin, with a grain of salt, because this was the post for their anniversary, which Springfield came out. I think she's just coming out as a big event for us. So it's not going to be as good, because if you kind of count it as like an equivalent of a half anniversary, as we all know, half anniversaries when it comes to games like Nikkei and all of them, they don't give out as much as they give out on anniversary. So there's a lot of goodies in here that I do not expect, but I will go through everything I kind of do think we'll get with this update. The first one that's not going to be listed here is something they already had at the anniversary point for CN, which is that quality of life, so we can trade in the currency for pulls from the redundant pieces. I'm pretty sure we'll get that with this update. We'll have Springfield that comes out next, and then I believe they will give us a free copy of Faye on this event as well. They got Faye for free on the anniversary, but I think we're going to be getting her with this event. Alongside, then after them, Puri will come up next. And this, I mean, if Springfield's event's next, Puri is pretty much guaranteed to be after her because they were just like it was Klukai and Mishti. It's Springfield and Puri in that order with this event. So we fully can expect both of them. One other thing that kind of not just relating to the end of the last broadcast that makes me believe this event's going to be next, and this one you have to take with a large grain of salt. But this is a rumor that someone had told me, is that data miners had found that in the global version, Springfield's in there, Faye's in there, and Puri's in there. Now, I don't know the truth of this is, but I do know that data miners had originally found that Cinerisi, Klukai, and Mishti were in the files way before they came out. So if it's the same people, very well, they may be what are coming up next. And so what came with this event was Springfield came out as your unit. You got a free copy of Faye, and then she was added to the standard banner. It makes sense that we would get Faye, just for the simple fact that we got Yuhi so early. And right now, physical kind of feels a little bit weak still. Yuhi's really good with other people if you put a lot of invested into her dupes. But Faye just kind of adds on to being an overall good unit on the physical side if you want to heavily invest into them. So them giving us her early makes a lot of sense. I mean, she is a standard unit, so she's kind of the one I've been saving up for, the potentially investing my dupes into. But even when she comes out, I won't do that until I need to use my standard pulls, because who knows how many lost 50-50s I'll get on Springfield. I could very well max dupe one of the standard units just from that. But we got her for free, and then right after Springfield, Puri came out. And these are both great units for us in global, and it's back-to-back. So this is why I'm saying it's probably really good that they have Zhaohui happening now, because if they did this event right after we just had Vector and Yuhi, Klukai, Mishti, it'll be over. You don't have the pulls for it. Now, the other big thing that I think we'll have, and this is the one thing that I've talked about that they had on the half anniversary as well, is this character and weapon selection banner. So this is basically a 100% rate up banner where you can select amongst 4 units. Now you can't take this into consideration. While we do have all these characters, I doubt our selection banner would be the same as theirs. One big reason is Zhaohui is one of the units, and we literally are just now getting her. So I doubt we'll get a selection banner with her on it. But they could very well have Ulrid, Suomi, and Dush in there, maybe somebody else, who knows. So that was one thing that they had in the half anniversary and anniversary, so I can fully expect that. Don't expect this. This isn't an anniversary event on CN, but we'll probably get some extra pulls, not that many. I forget how much we got with the Klukai event, but probably about the same that we got with Klukai and Mishti. We'll probably get, what was it, like 30? I'm expecting us to get around 30 pulls overall, which is half of what they got on the anniversary, and then our anniversary will probably get the equivalent of this. But that'll be pretty much it there. A lot of this other stuff, we actually have some of this stuff in here. And so that's pretty much all there is to the event. And then there was a lot of just talking about new stuff that came out that we already got. Like, they came out, they were developing a new skin, which we already have. And this is what I'm saying, is we are on just completely different tracks from seeing in the fact that, I mean, we're getting a lot of stuff out earlier than they had it. We got her stuff early. The figures, I mean, figures are out. Once a figure comes out, it's out. And then they hinted at Leva at this point and a bunch of other stuff. So there's really not much else on this one. But that's my speculation of what's coming after Zhaohui. Now we're going to get even more speculation is, what are they going to do after that? Because one of the big things is, and I think it's like a running joke at this point, is where are all the electric units? And so I think after this event, we're pretty much going to get hammered with all the electric units. And that's going to lead up to our anniversary, which will then probably be Leva. I'm going to guess Leva is going to be our anniversary unit. And if you kind of look, I have to look at the timing, but the units I believe we'll have leading up to our anniversary are going to be all the electric units. So we're going to have Lena, Jianyu, Belka, Andrus, and in the middle there, they'll probably have Chawa, or basically the burn shotgun, her. And I believe, I'd have to do the math on it, but I believe that'll like lead up, right up to the anniversary. They might have to throw like another single unit in there. Maybe we'll get Florence early. Florence, getting Florence early would be pretty nice. Or they could throw someone else. There's tons of units they have. It could be a unit that we don't even know about yet that we could get early, because we got Yuhi so early. But I believe our anniversary unit will end up being Leva. Leva was not a half anniversary unit for them. She was just a big event. And so I think she'll be kind of our next big event after Springfield. Paired up with a bunch of the electric units coming out. But that one's just, that's me just guessing altogether. We have no clue on that. There's nothing that makes me think that. It's just me kind of guessing the direction they may go. Because at some point, they got to start giving us the electric unit. So we'll kind of have to see at that point. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's just my speculations. I'm hoping we are right. Springfield is really, really big. And it makes sense now that we would have Zhaohui. Everybody can save their polls, which I will be making a should you poll on Zhaohui right before she comes out. And that will be like one of the main things I say is wait until the end of the banner to see what's coming up next before you poll. Because if you see Springfield next, it's a skip, 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 and skip. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.